Okay, so I'm back with another video. It's 1:48 p.m. It is January 22nd. And so, like I said, I am back with another video. Now, mind you, I have a lot of time in my hands, and, I have to feel like I'm in the mood to do things. Mainly because I deal with a lot of anxiety, and I'm always like, oh, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. And then I sit there and start overthinking, and then I start, like, basically meditating, and I start getting messages in my head, and whatever. I decided to use my Cabbage Patch doll that I showed in one of my previous videos for this particular video. I usually try to find an image, on the internet. Sometimes I make my own. And then, of course, today I'm thinking, okay, you know what? He is pretty darn cute, so I decided to bring this little picture in. I picked this picture. I thought I got him in 2016, but apparently I got him earlier than that because this little picture is in my Google Photos, and this is marked for November 24th, 2016. So this was obviously on a Thanksgiving day and shows him eating. I was trying to make him look like he was eating a roll because I thought it was cute. So anyway, I saved the picture. I also have a picture of him eating an apple. What I really wanted to do was take a bunch of different pictures at that time because I mentioned before I'm into stop animation pictures. I mean, cartoons or whatever. I've always liked stop animation. I'm a big Bankin' Rats fan. Did I pronounce that right? Rankin Bass fan. They had a lot of holiday specials growing up when I was a kid, and I understand the process of it. It's very long, and I did put a picture or like a clip of one of these videos. It's the Greedy Junior Brother channel. I had put a video in there. I noticed that they, had a little pig, and it looks like it's a little toy, basically. And I noticed that they have a way of making the little jaws move. And unfortunately, I don't have the ability or have come up with an idea on how to make that happen. But I do want to definitely at least make one stop animation video because it's just been something that I've always wanted to do. Anyway, so I was thinking here in my room, and I'm getting ready to start my needle project, my knitting project, which I'm looking forward to. It's like I asked my son, like, what color do you want? And he's like, gray. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really weird about gray because I like color. I like rich color, you know what I mean? But he's guy, so it's fine. Plus, I really do want to make some beanies and stuff like that for him. It makes me feel like more of a mother type character. And yes, I do have that side to me. It's just that people have their issues, or they deal with certain circumstances, right? So, I do like doing things for my son. It's funny because sometimes, I don't always cook him the best dinners or something, but and there's days where I try to make an effort. I'm dealing with a lot of depression and stuff, but, yeah, I do. I mean, I like girly things. I mean, I don't like to use that word because I think it's kind of limiting, or, it kind of sounds a little sexist, but I enjoy being a girl. Now, I know in my previous life, I was Prince Alamehu. I do get the feeling that Prince Alamehu was gay. I know that he started off in Egypt as a woman. So, I think sometimes when people transition from one thing to another, there's a possibility that they are more comfortable living in their previous self, or maybe they were attached to a previous life, and that kind of carries over. This is what I'm thinking, okay? I have to do more meditation on it, but it probably makes sense. I do like being a woman. Like, the one thing that I love more than anything, my prized possession, is my sewing box. My sewing box, my sewing box, I love opening it. I love looking at all the little notions in there, all my assorted needles, my beautiful collection of threads. I mean, I absolutely love my sewing box, and I just, like, every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I love it. I love this. I love my little life. Unfortunately, they're not everything I love about my life, but it is what it is. So, anyway, this particular Cabbage Patch doll, I don't know if they still make him or not, like, because I think they're very cute. I always preferred the cloth face Cabbage Patch dolls to the the hard face ones that were really popular back in the 80s. I remember people were like fighting, and like you know uh, they were in line in the department stores wanting to get a Cabbage Patch. kids so bad, you know. And you know, I don't remember getting a Cabbage Patch at that time, and nor did I really want one at the time. But you know, I found this one, like I said, at an estate sale, and I just fell in love with them. So anyway, these messages that I'm getting, I wanted to say that my ex family, my oldest sister Tanya, this would be her birthday. Now, when I was growing up, I always believed that me and my sister Tanya were exactly 10 years and 1 week apart, because her birthday is January 22nd, 1961, and my birthday supposed to be January 15th, 1971. So, you know, that kind of throws things off. I do understand that, you know, through my intuitive messages, that my sister Tanya did have some psychic power. I do know that she and I would talk about these things briefly. She never really went into it, but she did tell me that she, you know, like when my father passed away, I know that I had a vision of it, and she said that she experienced something too. Now, I know that when people experience a loss of a loved one, someone that they feel connection to, sometimes people don't really have psychic powers, but when something like that happens, they just get this weird feeling like something's wrong, you know? So I didn't know if she had, like, you know, what do you call it, a sharpened skill in psychic work or not. I don't know. But I do get the intuitive message that she was trying to be me. I also know that throughout my targeting, she did play a role, of course, in the religious part of it. I just think that my ex-sister Tanya, and she's really not my sister when you think about it, but, you know, I just think that she was kind of a lost person, you know, somebody who was always trying to people please, and she wanted recognition and stuff like that. So, whatever. But that's the only thought that really came to my mind, is the fact that she wanted, I guess, some sort of recognition or whatever. Also, the message I am getting, though, is that, you know, I know some people, I think this issue of me being reincarnated, obviously this is what my father wanted to do, bring back a clone or whatever. But the people who were obviously targeting me were making this out of a racial issue. Some people feel threatened if they see certain traits exhibited in a race that is opposite of them. And, you know, by me being who I am in no way trying to, you know, cause any social disruption. If I were, I would have made like a movement out of this. I mean, and when you really think about this issue, I suppose I would have a right to make an issue of it, seeing as how it was something that was unwanted. Like, I didn't do anything to provoke this. I honestly didn't. But what I guess what some people would perceive as like my triumph and figuring out all of this and me addressing this issue, it's not me even trying to challenge the, what I guess I was going to call it, the white establishment who initiated this. I don't even want to get involved with worldly issues. Like I said, and I'll say it again, you know, the only thing I really care about is like my spiritual life. But I do also know that I have rights to stand up for myself. Like, if somebody's harassing me, you need to put people in check when they do things that are inappropriate. You know what I mean? And some people, they think this is all the spirit of fun. You know, they don't realize what they're doing is an actual crime against humanity. I am, you know, I guess whatever. Like I said, when you go down the Joseph angle, then it just kind of makes sense. But, you know, I'm not making an issue of this. I just, like I said, you know, the only thing I really want to do is just get on with my life and just focus on me. And then also, I think that because people had, you know, I know that people think that you can enforce Christianity, but when you do, you're going to meet resistance from people. Now, I think that was going on, at least like in the workplace and stuff like that, people were trying to basically force their religion down my throat, putting me in situations like, you know, when I was talking about the job where, you know, my boss had told me, oh, everything's fine with your clothes and whatever. And then I made a video about something that was bothering me. And then for some form of retaliation, I was immediately told that I need to wear a uniform. And some people, you know, like I believe certain people on the top of the pyramid, they come from a tradition where, you know, perhaps maybe they forget that women are not property. And you know, sometimes like, you know, I've mentioned before, like, you know, my sister Tanya, her relationship with her husband, it seemed really abusive to me, because, you know, sometimes And I'm not saying that, I'm not picking apart the Bible or anything, but I do think that sometimes people take things out of the Bible and they use it to abuse other people. Just because the man is the head of the household doesn't mean that he has to strip a woman from her dignity or abuse her in any way. You know what I mean? The life of a woman, in my mind, living here on the earth, is there's a lot of suffering. And, the thing is that, I feel as though women don't, women get the short end of the stick, especially what was going on around me at that time. I saw my sister Tanya. I don't think she was happy. I mean, she always wanted to make it seem like it was not really a good thing, but it made her more noble or something to adhere to something that literally made her miserable. And this is one of the reasons why she would lash out at me. This is one of the reasons why she would do things behind my back. This is the reason why she hated me, because I was not in that sort of relationship. And I do think that when I was married, that they were probably trying to convince him to be more authoritative or something. And I would have never consented to that. See, the thing is, when I was with my ex-husband, here's the thing. I had been on my own before I got married. So I was well into my 30s when I met my ex-husband. So I have already been used and accustomed to my way of living. And the reason why I found living with him, dealable, meaning like he never obstructed my need to shut down. If I wanted to go into my room for hours and hours and hours, I could do that. You know what I mean? Because I'm a very moody person, because I'm somebody who dealt with a lot of shit that, really could not be discussed with anyone else who would be understanding. And I've always known how to deal with my own problems. So, I mean, women, here's the thing with why this doesn't make sense. It's like, a man will meet a woman, right? And he loves the way she acts. He loves her girlish nature. He loves all the things that she brings to the table. But then he marries her, and then he flips the script around. Now he wants to take away the very person that he met and loved, possibly because he's afraid that she's going to be with somebody else. But what ends up happening is the woman starts to resent the man because he's literally squashing out the life of her. That's how it is. They get angry, they get frustrated because this is not something that they really want. And then they end up having children, and sometimes, children don't always respect their parents. So women sacrifice a lot and get nothing in return. Because a lot of times they have kids who don't want to, be obedient. They don't want to respect them. They don't, and then they have a husband who basically wants to strip them of all their happiness, all their joy, and expect them to love them. It makes no sense. Now, I'm not saying all relationships are like that, but the ones that were within this Christian denomination, to me, seemed very strange, okay? I think each couple has to discuss those sort of things, and that's up to the couple, and when you try to institutionalize, like, people's relationships, I mean, I think that's like the worst thing you could ever do. You know what I mean? It's like, stay the fuck out of people's business, So, but anyway, I'm not interested in making a racial issue of this. Obviously, I think the situation speaks for itself, okay? And it's not a good situation, and it's one of those situations where people can't deny anything. They could, there's times where people try to, like, sweep things under the rug or try to discredit somebody or dismiss what they're saying. You can't dismiss this. You can't sit there and say, oh, well, Maria did this. I can't be blamed for any of it. Like, any of it. So this is not me saying that white people are evil. I'm just saying the people who initiated this and the people who thought it was okay and enjoyed participating in it, these people already obviously have a problem. I can't speak for everybody inside this little pyramid like thing. I can't do that. Because some people didn't know. They just thought, well, maybe they were doing it for maybe a specific reason. Maybe they thought that they didn't understand why. But what this was an act of white supremacy, is what it was. And it was offensive. And it's something that I don't, how can I say this? I don't forgive or forget it, but I also know that I need to move on. And it's not something that makes me want to retaliate. You know what I mean? It's ugly to lash out at other people out of that sort of hatred. So I would never stoop to that level. Anyway, also the message I got is that, I understand that reincarnation is a very trendy topic right now. A lot of people are talking about it, and I think that's good. I think if anything comes out of this reincarnation thing, I think it's important that people try to improve the quality of their life and whatever that might be, and try to raise their awareness and their vibration so that they can move on to a better state of being in the next time. You know what I mean? So that's cool. Also, yeah, people were amazed at the Prince Alamehu discovery because I'm sure people were hoping that I would never find out. Like I was gonna, they probably expected me to exist with all this shit, all this animosity, right? Going on. Well, I would say that's not necessarily true because the animosity had stopped actually a little bit before I realized that I was Prince Alamehu. But still, I think people started like really understanding that, hey, I'm not the bad person when there was a bunch of tragedies that kind of happened like somewhere around the autumn time. But which I even felt that. I felt that in my body, like something was really going on at that time. Um, but anyway, uh, when it comes to the Prince Alamehu thing, it was just like one little thing that kept leading to another and me figuring it all out. I had mentioned that my brother made a comment, my ex-brother made a comment about me being adopted. And then I mentioned saying that I got bored one day and I was watching these tarot readings that were on the internet. See, now, tarot readings aren't going to tell you that you're Prince Alamehu. There's not a tarot card that even exists like that, right? But there was this one particular, I think she was using like a new modern deck, because I don't really work with tarot. I have a few decks in my house. Some of them were gifted, and some of them were bought when I was on my big discovery back in the 90s, because, I started realizing more and more, okay, this is who I am. I'm one of these kind of people, right? So I did buy some back in the 90s, but I've never been like a tarot master. But a lot of people feel as though the tarot cards of like yesteryear are kind of outdated, so they make newer ones. This particular one basically said something about being a clone. So I kept thinking, okay, um, me being possibly adopted and the clone thing. And this is when I asked that question. I believe the universe wanted me to know that I was Prince Alamein immediately, not like 2 weeks after. Because usually, like when you set your intentions, it usually takes. I usually give like an approximate 2 weeks if it's something small that you can have control over. There's obstacles that can get in your way of manifesting, and this is when people turn to things like meditation, trying to figure out what's going on, what is the blockage, what is the obstacle, because some people don't really consider the obstacles that go on in manifestation. And there's obstacles, just like there's obstacles when I was like trying to get a job. And I kept thinking, I need to figure out what the obstacle is so I can handle and deal with it. Because some people, they set their intentions and they don't realize, okay, well, my mom's working against me or this person's working. So you need to understand and be able to hone in, right? The Prince Alamejo thing popped into my head because this is very important for me to understand who I am. You know what I mean? And I think it shocked a lot of people. And once I discovered that, I had noticed that the atmosphere around me completely changed. Like, it's not just, it's more warm now. Like, it's not like it used to be. Like, it was kind of like, ooh, like I'm a little afraid to talk to her or something. It's more normal. Like, I guess people understand because she's a clone, but I think it's just different now. So, and I'm amazed by coming to that realization myself. You know what I mean? But it makes sense though. I mean, I never thought that I never even heard of that person, but it's cool that I know. Anyway, the next message that I got is that, of course, people are still wanting this issue out in the open. And when you really think about it, it already is out in the open. Everybody knows the reason I was targeted. They were pointing me out, literally. They were telling people that I was a clone. They were telling the people that were conspiring against me, people probably in my immediate neighborhood, and the community and outwards and all everywhere knew that I was a clone. The issue is really already out. What people want is probably like the official story, somebody reporting like my point of view and hearing the same story of me, my discovery and going on and on about my story. And, I don't know if the people who are in those higher positions feel comfortable talking about those sort of things, because one thing is going to lead to another. You know what I mean? So whether the story gets out or not, whatever. But I do believe that the reason why this was like a silent operation is because of a particular woman. I get the feeling it comes from a woman. The direction comes from a woman to keep silent about it. Meaning, like, my people in my social circle, the soul tribe or whatever, which includes celebrities as well as people that I used to know or whatever, they want to keep this issue quiet. I don't think that it's fair to keep it quiet. Why should I have to carry somebody's burden? Why should I have to carry somebody's burden? You know what I mean? Why shouldn't I be able to express myself and talk about my own life? I think it's inappropriate for people to consider their needs, especially after everything I've gone through. I'm not going to stay quiet if I don't feel like it, so whatever. Anyway, but I'm not going to ask people to compromise their position. Like, I understand certain people, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to disclose more because of their commitment. Okay, so I understand how to respect both sides of that issue, but I myself am not, and I'm not going to have people say, oh, that's not true, or no, you're not a clone, or blah 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 blah. I'm not going to have people telling me that shit. I'm just not. So if somebody comes at me with that shit, they can go straight to hell, and I will disconnect from them. That's just how it is, because obviously that sort of action, by denying something that really needs to be out in the open, something that is a heavy burden on somebody that created so many fucking problems. How dare you put that on somebody? How dare you? Also, people were talking about the issue of the college scam. Now, like I said, my employment was manipulated. Okay, and I don't know if everybody's. I'm gonna have to meditate on that. Okay, like, because but I don't know if everybody's employment is manipulated. I do know that, people always encourage you to know people and be a part of a network. Now, I was associated with a network beyond my control, with people that I didn't even really know, okay? Um, but if that is true, if it is true, if the only way that you can get a job is through certain particular networks and they choose your job, then I would say that your degree is worthless in a way, whether you're employed or not. And the reason why I say this is because, I personally think that people should be well suited for their job. Like, if you have a passion for art, then you should try to work in those industries, whereas they might put you in something like, I don't know, somebody tried to get me a job over at like some aerospace place or whatever, that kind of stuff, and that's not fitting for you. And what good is it? To me, if you spend that much time and you spend that much money into an education, you should be able to aim for your dream job. Otherwise, what good is it? Shouldn't that give you, if somebody is like, has their like master's degree, okay, should that not give you, should that not give you an edge on everything? It makes sense, doesn't it, right? Even though, I obviously said that there's an obvious problem with the education system because people are walking around not really knowing anything. But still, okay, if that's the system that's supposed to happen, right, then people should be able to get, those sort of advantages. They should be able to negotiate what kind of jobs they want, and they should be goddamn choosy. They should have every right to be goddamn choosy. It's their money, it's their time, and what do you get for that? Do you get your choice? You should, right? So anyway, what else? I know my soul tribe wants me to talk more about reincarnation. Like I said, as soon as I start getting flashbacks or whatever, I will definitely share with that information about it. Because like right now, my whole life is about, exploring these parts of myself and then, getting more in touch with those weird mysteries, right? So this is one of the reasons why I did make the Patreon channel. I figured, I want to make content that's something that I'm passionate about, number one, I'm passionate about, something I know a lot about, and then also the fact that this is a way of me leaving what a part of my life behind when I do finally leave this filthy piss hole, right? So, talking about the reincarnation thing, it's like, well, I understand where my habits come from, but I still, I haven't had any flashbacks or anything. I'm just right now I'm putting the pieces together of the prince's life because I understand the timelines, when he got there and the little places that he went to. I know he was educated and stuff like that in places, and of course he went to India and certain things, which also explains my love of Indian music and the whole culture, thinking that it's very vibrant and beautiful. That makes a lot of sense. So, what else message did I get? Oh yeah, a lot of people are waking up to the fact that their families are fake too. It is very sad, and maybe you probably remember having your family discredit you and maybe not being able to fit in. Oh, maybe some of you guys got lucky. Maybe some of you guys got really caring parents. You know what I mean? That's always cool too. I'm sure not all of it's bad, but in my situation, it was bad because, obviously I had my own family, like, was just not good. I'm not saying that all of these setups are bad, because I'm sure not all of them are. Some people can't have children and they're willing to bring in other kids and raise them as their own. And if they have the love for those kids, I think that's good, that they can do that. But unfortunately, I got a bad deal. I got a bad deal. What else did I want to say? I don't feel sorry for the people who were abusing me. I don't. That not only the people I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about the people on top of the pyramid. I'm talking about my ex family. They're not my blood relations. They're my ex um, adoptive family. I have no desire of ever communicating with any of those members again. I don't know if I get the feeling that some of them may have passed on. I don't want to have any sort of interaction with them. And this is my issue: is that certain people. How can I say this? Like I protect my space, meaning I don't want to deal or interact with people. If people mistreat me in any way, I immediately drop them. Immediately. I can't accept an explanation that somebody would be so cold-blooded to allow something like this to happen or participate in something like this. Like like for example, my old siblings or one of my adoptive siblings, I can't deal with that. And I can't deal with anybody, really, who would think that this was okay. Whether they were brainwashed or not, there's something very twisted in you if you think that this was okay, that it was okay on any level. You know what I mean? I just don't see how anybody could actually go through with something like that. So yeah, right now my day is just like, my brain is kind of swarming. I think the fact that I astral projected last night was a part of that, because when I got up this morning, I did feel a little off. Like, there's something, I'm extra sensitive today. Got a lot of things going through my mind right now. The astral experience was cool though, and I wish I could have extended it, because it's so much funner than being like here, like on this level, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm just kind of talking my thoughts right now, and I know that sometimes my videos might sound like they're repeating themselves a little bit because I get the same messages, but there's so much about these issues that just kind of swarm through my mind because maybe it's because like I know that I do want to move on, and I just wish something like this never happened. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not happy of being born or anything, but it's just I really am not comfortable with that situation. I'm not comfortable with people thinking that it was okay, or people creating competitions with people, and just all of it. It's like, I can't feel sorry for people who did this, or people who thought it was okay to be a part of that, meaning like, I don't feel sorry for the people who created this. I don't. If they're exposed, that's their fucking problem. They cannot fucking blame me for that. No one in their right mind would think that this is an okay thing, or be okay with it, or accepting of it, or like it. No one would be that way. Now, maybe in their mind they think, well, if for somebody to be like, because they perceive me as like the best. They perceive me as somebody who's able to, like I'm superhuman, and that I don't care about having a decent family, or I don't have any. Those things aren't important. Those things are fucking beyond important. You know what I mean? So they don't have empathy. You know what I mean? So to them, being better is more important than, you know, having people around you that you can trust and that you care about. You know what I mean? I don't think that way. I mean, it's good to have skills and abilities to do things. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for that, okay? But, you know, to compete in this sort of manner, it's sick. It's fucking beyond sick. So no, I don't feel sorry for them, and I don't feel sorry for the other people on the pyramid, meaning my ex-family. I don't care about them at all, literally at all. So I mean, if I saw them dying out in the street and I was in my car, I would just like literally drive by. People could say, "Oh, that's cold" and everything else, but you know what? Some things are just too disturbing for a person. That is just way too fucking disturbing, and that goes for their children and their spouses. I don't want anything to do with them either. You know what I mean? It's like people need to understand that their behavior is inappropriate and it's inexcusable. I can't excuse that. So I'm wrapping up this video. I will be back with another video sometime later. I hope you guys like that little picture of him because I just adore him so much. I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.